Welcome back everyone to another Weather Glance video. In today's video we will be covering a potential northeast severe weather event happening this Thursday evening into Friday morning that is going to be caused by the leftover remains of Tropical Storm Elsa that will be a very well closed low moving up through the northeast off the northeast coast, all coming up in just a bit. Alright, and on our first slide, we're taking a look at our composite reflectivity from the GFS that is showing the remains of Tropical Storm Elsa moving up the coast. And this will give you an idea of what's kind of coming for the area of the northeast. As you can see from the GIF, you see the remains that have just moved up to the northeast of Tropical Storm Elsa, and this will be providing very good shear for the northeast, so this will help tornadic activity thrive, which seems to be the main threat for this northeast severe weather event that could unfold this Thursday. As we see good shear in the area for tornadic activity, as well as very high dew points and moisture, and very high CAPE levels up to potentially 5,000 joules per kilogram. So there's a lot to talk about, so let's get into our first forecast image of the HRRR forecast model. So as you can see, here's our reflectivity of the HRRR, and you can see that here down to in the bottom screen you can see Tropical Storm Elsa moving up into the area, and just north there's a lot of moisture. As you can see, there's a lot of thunderstorms, mainly just pulse thunderstorms, but there is a convective line of storms moving through the northeast, and this will be providing extra good shear for the areas that are warned for these tornadoes. And as you can see, we do have a lot of moisture as well, so this is going to help the cave levels rise, and these are going to be able to help fuel these storm updrafts. And once these storm updrafts grow to maybe about 40 to 50,000 feet, we could see tornadic activity as these storms start to rotate. There's a very high chance for supercells in the New Jersey area and southern New York area, so anywhere around New York City, that's really where you're going to see this threat move through, all the way up into northern New York as well. But our main threat seems to be in northern New Jersey and southern New York, as well as northeastern Pennsylvania. So there's a lot of area coverage here where there's going to be tornadic activity possible. So let's not hesitate to move on to our next slide. Alright, here we're taking a look at our convective available potential energy, and this is basically putting all of the energy factors together into a readable energy amount in the atmosphere to give you an idea of what you're kind of seeing. So as you can see, the reds are 3,500 up to 4,000 joules per kilogram, and we occasionally see that little pop-up of 5,000 joules per kilogram possible. So that is very possible with those high dew points up to 75 degrees Fahrenheit, which we'll get into here in a second. This is all very possible to sustain these really high updrafts that will begin to rotate and cause supercellular storms, and we may see a couple, maybe even several tornadoes out of this. It's not set in stone, but we do see a very high potential for a couple tornadoes Thursday evening into Friday morning. So this is going to be kind of a nighttime event, as you can see from the forecast models. Alright, and as you can see, we do have a lot of moisture along the coast, also being provided by Elsa as she moves up. It's going to eject into the area a lot of moisture and heat, so this is going to really help fuel those storms, as well as the shear from the storms as well. So Elsa is going to be providing very well shear and substantial levels of moisture, all the way up into the mid-70s, which is very good for storm development. So there is a lot of factors here that are looking very good for severe weather, so make sure that you are keeping an ear out on your news stations so that you understand what you're looking for this Thursday, because it does seem that we do have a widespread area in the northeast that will see tornadic activity possible. Okay, now we're taking a look at our helicity levels. So this means really just the level of energy that's pushing up in a vertical motion. So we're talking about our updrafts here, and this is basically telling you how strong the updrafts will be. So this is your helicity levels here, and you can see the strongest updrafts seem to be in southern New York, a couple in northern New Jersey, but it seems that southern New York is really going to be where we're going to see those substantial updrafts. So that is really where I'm thinking our supercellular formation will remain, and that's where we will see some of those tornadoes if everything comes together. And even in the Massachusetts as well, we could see up there. But my main threat was New Jersey and New York, simply because of the fact that there's lots of moisture down there and a lot of convective available potential energy. So while there is very good helicity up in Massachusetts and all of that, the shear just won't be there. So you will have damaging winds and heavy rainfall up in Massachusetts, but you likely will not see any tornadic activity as the shear just isn't there, and Elsa is not providing that shear to those northern areas. Alright, now to help further get the point across of our shear, we're taking a look at the bulk shear, 0 to 6 kilometer AGL. So this is from the ground up to 6 kilometers in the atmosphere. This is the wind difference. And you can see that in some areas we have up to 80 knots of shear in the atmosphere. So this is vertical shear, and you can see that this is going to be great for storm development, and obviously rotation as well in these storms. So in southern New Jersey, you can see some of those 65 knot differences in wind speeds, mostly being provided by Elsa. But in the northern areas as well, we're going to see a lot of that shear too. So in southern New York and possibly even up into Connecticut as well, we could see those shear levels go really sporadic as we move with those very warm, moist air vecting into the area from Tropical Storm Elsa. So the moisture, like I said before, is going to be a big factor in playing around with this shear as well. So we're going to see some really good storm development here Thursday evening and the Friday morning likely. But there's a lot more time to cover this, so we're going to be keeping a close eye on this to make sure that it doesn't turn into anything crazy. All right, now we're taking a look at our Supercell composite, which basically takes all of the factors that we've been talking about throughout here, and this is kind of just like a lazy way of saying, seeing what is going to be going on. So you can see that we do have those high levels for Supercell composite in southern New Jersey, all the way up into even mid east central New York. So there is a very widespread area for the Supercell composite levels all throughout this area, and this is going to really help with that storm development. So I do think we will see multiple embedded supercells in some squall lines, maybe even some singular supercells developing by themselves. But as you can see, we do have very good levels of shear in the atmosphere, and everything is coming together to put this into play. All right, now we're looking at our significant tornado parameter, and this is similar to the supercell composite levels, but what we're looking at here is the chances for a significant tornado to occur, such as maybe an EF3 plus. So you can see here we do have very high levels. Now this does not mean if you see any 4s or 5s, that doesn't mean that you're going to see a significant tornado. That's just saying, it's just showing you the likelihood of something like that happening. And as you can see here in southern New York, that really is where we're going to see those best chance for those tornadic activity. And you can see that we really do have high levels of this significant tornado parameter, all the way up into 3s, all the way up until 4s. So we do have very good chance for tornadoes, so you're going to want to keep an eye out on this. Make sure that you have your NOAA weather radio handy, because there will be thunderstorms in this area Friday. Severe, yes. Tornadic, we do not know yet, but it does show signs that this will be happening, so make sure that you're ready. Make sure you have the news stations playing and all that. If it does get significant enough, we will be live streaming this event, but as of right now, there's nothing to worry about, just the potential for some tornadic activity Thursday into Friday. All right, so here's a little sounding that I grabbed from New York, southern New York. This is a forecasted sounding, so this isn't a live sounding, this is just a forecasted sounding. And as you can see, we do have a widespread area throughout the atmosphere. It's very consistent with that convective available potential energy. So it's not just surface, it's not just upper level. It's pretty much consistent throughout the entire levels of the atmosphere. So this is going to help with consistent storm development. As you can see, we have our most unstable Kate at 1,947 joules per kilogram. Though that may not sound like a lot, trust me, the storms are eating this up very quickly. So it's going to be, that's really what's going to be happening. And you can see that throughout the atmosphere, we do see up to 1,845 joules per kilogram, and the surface is 1,791 joules per kilogram. We do not see a capping inversion. As you can see, there is not really a likelihood for a capping inversion, so that doesn't mean... So basically what that means is that that's kind of trapping the fluid motion towards the ground, so it's not able to do anything convective, so there is a lot of energy in the atmosphere, but there's not really any ability for that to be used in a convective manner. But here we don't see that, so this is going to really fire up very quickly throughout the day if we don't have a capping inversion. We have 77 degree weather on the ground, as well as 72 degree Fahrenheit dew points. So this is really all going to come together. Now, if you look in the middle of your screen, the top and the middle of your screen, you'll see these colorful lines that kind of stick out, and that's showing you your shear with height. So we can see we start out with some of those calmer wind speeds down in the ground, but as you can see with height, you grow very you grow a lot quicker in your wind speeds, and this is going to help keep that rotation going in these storms all the way up until we get about 200 millibars, which is about 30,000 feet in the atmosphere. That's where you're going to see your highest wind speeds forecasted here, and we're going to see up to 100 knot winds, it looks like there. So well, actually 75, my bad, 75 knot winds, so that is very good for shear, judging by how the ground speed is only looking about to be 15 knot winds, and the upper levels of the atmosphere are going to be changing direction and wind speed as well, so rotation is going to be very high here. As you can see, we have really good shear in the atmosphere. Now, if you look in the top right hand of your corner, that's called a hodograph. And basically, if you want to see tornadoes, you want the hodograph to be round. That shows the how the wind speed changes with direction and height as you grow in the atmosphere. So you can see that we do have change in speed and direction as we grow with height. It's very round and very solid, so it's a very solid hodograph. It's very round, and this is really going to be helping with that tornado development, because you can see that the atmospheric conditions do look to be very good for tornadic development. Now, if you look just below that, we see the possible hazard type, and that's tornado. So you can see that that's just giving you an idea of what the most significant hazard will be. So that doesn't mean that that's just going to be a tornado. That means that there could be a tornado there, but that's the most significant type of hazard that will be there, which we'll go through in just a minute. Down below that, we see the box and whisker plots, which is basically showing you kind of what you're looking at in your tornadic levels of what you could see. And we see all the way up to the mean level, we see EF2 standard. So we could see up to possible EF2 possible here, all the way to EF3. Very unlikely, but we can see that possible. But mainly we're talking about EF0 tornadoes, possibly EF1, and very rarely EF2, and we could maybe see an EF3 tornado, but mainly we're talking about very weak tornadoes here. But we could see tornadic activity as we move throughout the area that has shear. But as you can see, yes, tornadic activity is very prone here during this severe weather event that could unfold here. So make sure that you are prepared, because this is a very good condition for tornadoes. This doesn't happen all that often, so it is still far out, but let's make sure that we're keeping a very close eye on this and not just throwing it off. All right, I want to thank you all for watching today's video. Big thanks to today's sources, which were Pivotal Weather, where all the forecast models in today's video came from. For this, I would ask that you consider subscribing for more U.S. forecasts free of charge, and consider following the Weather Glance official Facebook page for more inside information and complimentary personal forecasts when you message me on my Facebook page. Again, I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.